I reserve the balance of the 5 minutes.
Mr. President.
Senator from Delaware is recognized.
Mr. President, I have great respect for my friend from Arizona. Our troops don't lose war. Bad policy, bad leadership loses wars. They should have the courage to stand up and tell the administration they have had a god-awful policy. They have put our troops in a position that, in fact, has made it virtually impossible for them to succeed at the outset. They deserve a policy. They deserve a plan. There is no plan. We went to war with too few troops. We went to war unnecessarily. We went to war with these men and women ill-equipped. They're coming home ill-served. It's about time we have the courage to stand up and say to the President, Mr. President, you have not only put us in harm's way, you have harmed us. You have no policy, Mr. President. I'm so tired of hearing this floor about courage. Have the courage to tell the administration, stop this ridiculous policy you have. We're taking sides in a civil war. I was there in Srebrenica. I was in Tuzla. I was in Sarajevo. I was in Brčko in the Balkans. How did we solve that? We solved that with a policy of separating the parties. This is a cycle of self-sustaining sectarian violence that 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 Americans will not be able to stop. Mr. President, this is ridiculous. There is no plan. I ask the President, everyone else that comes forward with a plan, whether it's capping or surging or whatever they have, will it answer the two-word test? Then what? Then what? Then what? What happens after we surge these women and men? And by the way, he said General Petraeus is one who believes. He may be the only one who believes this is a good idea. Virtually no one else thinks it's a good idea. Look, in this story about the Constitution, we gave the President specific authority, which is our responsibility. It was to take down Saddam if need be. It was to get rid of weapons of mass destruction that did not exist. And it was to get compliance with the UN resolutions. Every one of those have been met. Saddam is dead. There were no weapons. And Iraq is in compliance with the UN. So if you want to be literal about it, his mission no longer has the force of law. Everyone I have spoken to, including from the Biden-Geld plan straight through to the Iraq Study Group, says, look, use our troops wisely. Use them wisely. And what are the missions? We have the right and obligation constitutionally, and we should have the courage constitutionally to exercise our responsibility to say, why are our troops there? Did anybody in this floor, did anybody count on the utter incompetence of this administration when they were given the authority they were given? Absolute incompetence. I stood on this floor 3 years ago saying we needed another 100,000 troops before the sectarian violence became self-sustaining and warned as others did. Once it did, all the king's horses and all the king's men cannot hold that country together. So what's our objective here? Our objective is to leave Iraq relatively stable within its own borders, not a threat to its neighbors, and not a haven for terror. What is the President and my friend from Arizona and others insisting on? What can never be a central government that is a democracy that is going to be fair to the rest of its citizens. It is not possible. Mark my words. So as long as the President keeps us on this ridiculous path, taking us off a cliff, I ask my colleagues, does anybody think they're going to be able to sustain keeping American forces in Iraq at 160,000 for another year and a half? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen in Tennessee, in Delaware, in Illinois? Are we going to break this man and women's army? What are we going to do here? How many times do we ask those 175,000 Marines to rotate? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And what is the president's political solution? I love this. Everyone says there is no military solution, only a political solution. Name me one person who's come up with a political solution. One. Other than me and Les Gelb. There is a political solution. It's what history teaches us. When there's a self-sustaining sectarian violence, only one of four possibilities. It either expires, they kill one another off. 2, you impose a dictator. 3, you have an empire. Or 4, you have a federal system. Mr. President, I ask 30 more seconds.
Without objection, Senator.
Mr. President, I am tired of hearing this about courage. The only courage being evidenced in this country are those folks out in the battlefield, getting shot at, getting killed. Why are they there? Let's get on with this. This is the only rational way to move. All this malarkey about cutting off funds. This is about the mission. Mr. President, you're leading us off a cliff. Stop. I yield the floor.